Thank you, honorable members. Stand be seated. Honorable members, let me take this opportunity to welcome the Honorable Premier, Mr. Mxolisi Dukwana, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Mayor Lucy Mapena, the Honorable Chief Whip, Mr. Thabo Meko, all the Honorable members present here, members in conformity with the agreement of Multi-Party Whips Committee, all proceedings shall be suspended until the honorable members have debated the Honorable Premier State of the Province Address as delivered on the 28th of February 2023. This implies that the only business of the day shall be the debate on the Premier State of the Province Address. Honorable members, we now proceed to the debate in terms of Rule 13 of the State of the Province Address. I'm going to call Honorable Meko to the podium to address the House.
Speaker, thank you very much. The ANC joins 2.6 million people of the Free State in welcoming the State of the Province Address 2023 by Premier Dukwana. As indicated, we are a year towards concluding the 5 years of the implementation of the election manifesto. It's been 6 terms since 1994 that our mandate was renewed successfully, owing to our political theory, which is our policy position, as well as a practice, which is commitment to deliver quality of the life to our people. The debate about ANC policy and certainty thereof becomes a myth based on a desperation for lack of policy alternative to that of the African National Congress. From the Freedom Charter to the 1992 Ready to Govern document of the ANC, and the extent to which how this seminal intellectual work finds expression in government, the ANC has been consistent. The Constitution of South Africa has been crafted on the basis of the norms and values of the Freedom Charter of the African National Congress, which remains our lodestar to the type of society we seek to build. SOPA 23 provides hope anchored on tangible interventions to set the province on the new path of development. Indeed, carrying this task must be appreciated within the context that Premier, through you, Speaker, you have sharply articulated of our historical challenges of apartheid colonialism, as well as our own subjective and objective ones of governance in the current period. I can assure you, Premier, through the Speaker, that despite all of these things, your speech being visionary, your speech being relevant to the lives and the challenges of our people, and of course, looking forward to addressing those problems. Today, you are still going to be bombarded by the ANC corruption. You will be bombarded with electricity crisis. You will be bombarded by all manner of unscientific and baseless accusations about the ANC. A Facebooker, Seiso Sompan, I quote him without his content, says this thing: I'm in support with your ideas, Premier. We must be trusted public servants and be committed to provide effective services to our communities. I stand to support this 100%. Nothing will work out if we, as a people, we don't stand together and deliver the promises we've made to our people. How I so wish the Free State can be that, again, of peace, love, and prosperity. This summarizes what we're saying. SOPA resonates with the ground, with our people, their challenges and their aspirations. Speaker, there is consensus that SOPA is appreciated not as a panacea, as but as a strategic intervention to break with the past weaknesses and to build on the strength. There are no bending of facts, exaggeration of statistics, no fabrication, not even basking in the glory of achievement. Seiso Sompani and many, whilst appreciating hope, but they are not oblivious to the truth and fact that challenges remain immense. Indeed, SOPA talks to the challenges of our people. Contrary to the self-induced illusions of a DA premier, we're told that 2024, where the premier is seated, it will be a DA premier. But we are contending as the ANC that this dream will be squashed by the lies peddled that where DA governs, it governs better. We have been bombarded with hogwash without any scientific basis to forecast tomorrow. The lies are told so many times with the hope that they will automatically convert themselves into a fact. The diatribe has been started and it is sustained to hegemonize the propaganda of DA leading better, with the possibility that 2024, the premier of DA will be seated here. We have 1 or 2, 3 examples that are contradicting this thing. The coalition of corruption led by DA in Johannesburg, in the city of Tshwane, as well as Ekurhuleni. Auditor General has exposed so many corrupt activities totaling about billions. An example is a tender awarded during the time of the Mayor Solim Simanga of 12 billion that was awarded without proper procedure to one company. There are many. This is just a pinnacle of their corrupt agenda to lead. Speaker, let me quote the ANC election manifesto 2019 themed, "Let's grow South Africa together." Over the past 25 years, the lives of our people of South Africa have been changed for the better. Millions of people have houses, electricity and access to clean drinking water. Children from poor communities have access to free education. If the past 5 years, the number of HIV/AIDS positive people on antiretroviral treatment has doubled, while the overall rate of new infection is decreasing. Unquote. We are en route as the ANC to fulfill the contract we signed with our people from 2019 to 2023. This forecast is inspired by the fact that much of what we have promised our people in 2014 has been implemented with varying degrees of success. Our province, like other 8 provinces, made its contribution. So 2023 will also be appreciated in the context of concluding the SOPA 2023 is also appreciated in the context of concluding the provincial chapter of implementing the 2019 manifesto of the ANC on a high note, given its progressive content as appreciated by our people. 2019 election manifesto was about 5 areas of focus, and the ANC's annual Makhotla provided detail owing to the dictates of the time. Transform the economy to serve our people. Free State has contributed. 30% of government spend was allocated to small businesses. SMMEs were provided financial assistance. SMMEs hubs were established in the following towns: Brandfort, Bloemfontein. There are many. Number 2, which is an example, advancing social transformation. We have ensured that, consistent with the Freedom Charter, our kids are able to go to school without having to pay a cent. We believe, same way as 2014 manifesto report, we have a tangible briefing to give to our people about the 2019 manifesto implementation. Manifesto implementation is never even. Inherently, it will be disrupted. We experienced 2008 global financial meltdown, 2019 COVID pandemic, and now the energy crisis, all of which requires a reconfiguration of our thought and the resource availability. An example, Statistics South Africa recent figures showed that GDP for a second quarter of 2022 decreased by 0.7% due to Ukraine and Russia conflict, high cost of living and inflation, including load shedding. In terms of economic recovery and energy crisis, the establishment of the Energy Security Council Center to coordinate our provincial input into addressing energy crisis, Premier, is welcome. Unprecedented load shedding has a long and difficult history, with its genesis in the 1998 Energy Policy White Paper. The plan to introduce competition in the energy sector gave rise to what has been called the policy paradox between ESCOM and government, and yet got its root in the policy differences between what ESCOM intended to do at that time and what government equally has planned. ANC, as a result, has invoked high-level mechanism to resolve this crisis, fully aware about its devastating consequences on reversing some of the critical gains aimed at promoting economic recovery and reconstruction. The story by D.A. Meyer, peddled through a video, is not only hogwash but is dangerous, with no substance, and we are very happy that it is rejected by Government Employees Pension Fund, that our people must be mobilized against the ANC and revolt because their pension fund is going to be used to fund ESCOM. It is untrue, it is incorrect, and it is a disparate election political campaign, and our people need to reject it as it is. The ANC is committing to our people to find solutions to all the problems that are confronting our people. And we know that come 2024, they will reject any intention of anybody who wants to lead with the ANC through a backdoor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. It's not every day you hear ANC member do a opposition speech, so that was interesting. During November last year, this House considered a motion by the FF+. The motion was easy. Do a skills audit into the 94 senior managers that are not qualified for their jobs. But no, answered each and every member of the ANC. And much to my astonishment, the Premier Tuesday announced a skills audit for the Free State. So the FF+ planted that seed. You're welcome, Premier. Unfortunately, considering the ANC's initial no vote, I cannot wonder exactly what it is that's going to be audited. Job skills or ANC loyalty skills? Ek hoop van harte, agbare Premier, jy gaan vaardighede en nie loyaliste audit nie. Ons mense soek nie meer ANC of faksie-loyaliste nie. Van hulle het ons genoeg gehad. Hulle is die oorsaak van die chaos in die Vrystaat, party-loyaliste wat nie mense dien nie. Hulle dien hulle eie sakke en die sakke van Letoile huis. Premier, your party has another name for this. Quite a fancy name, Black Economic Empowerment. Now, before I go on, the FF+ is very clear about this. Skills and qualification should be the proxy for contractors appointed, not colour. And if the most skilled and qualified contractor is black, by all means, appoint that contractor. But not because he or she is black, but because he or she earns it according to their merit. In fact, I think the ANC should totally rename BEE to CCC. The kader, the contract, and the cash. Die kader, die contract, en die kontant. Because that's all it's about. And that's where the ANC has been consistent for years. Let's make that applicable to the Free State. A BEE contractor gets a road tender, but that contractor is not able to do the job, so the contractor appoints a subcontractor who will do the job for far less than the initial price. But then the subcontractor is not paid by the main contractor, and the result, lawsuits upon lawsuits, whilst our roads are not being fixed. You don't believe me? Just last week I heard the maintenance on the road between Steynsburg, or rather Steynsrus and Kroonstad, has again been halted as a result of some dispute between the contractor and the provincial government. For 5 years, Premier, that road's been a problem for this province. Premier, by the way, where's the NEC Bulwani? Has the NEC of the ANC already ordered him to hit the road? It's not limited to roads only. What happened with Makufe last year? Exactly what I just explained. Some loyalists got the contract and the court deemed that contract illegal.
off this man.
I rise on a point of order. This honorable member cannot make a mockery of a person who is ill in hospital and come and say what he is saying about any single one. He should be ashamed of himself. Shame on you.
Honorable MEC, I did not really capture that or hear that, what he really said about him, but I will go and check Hansard and then I will rule accordingly. Thank you. Proceed, Honorable.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, so the court deemed that contact illegal. So don't dare say that your policy of black economic empowerment is benefiting black people. Makufe 22 debunks that myth. Premier, you spoke about being bold. Will you be bold enough to start a conversation within your party about the true effect of BEE in this country? Premier, ek jammer om te sê, maar jou planne vir plaaslike regering was teleurstellend. Eintlik het ons baie gehoor van hoe ons het nie baie gehoor van hoe ons munisipaliteite gered word nie. Munisipale rade is 'n sirkus, begrotings bly onbefonds en skuld aan Eskom en waterrade is 'n krisis. Speaking about water, Premier, you mentioned Riebeekstad. 6 weeks and more those residents did not have any water. And I heard what you said, that you and the mayor are aware of the issue of workers wanting more overtime being the problem. But Premier, if you and Mayor Kalipa are aware of this sabotage, because that's what it is, what actions have you taken? Was this reported to the authorities? See, it's easy to say Andre de Ruyter should take his charges to the police, but equally you should also do that. Time is not on your side, Premier, but more importantly, time is not on the side of the Free Staters. I have a letter here that was sent to your office, and I'll give it to you now. It's a letter from the Brandfort Forum, who wishes to meet with you urgently. You know what the problems in Brandfort is. Would you take time and listen to them? I warned when your party decided to rename Brandfort that those residents need services rather. Your party has ignored them for too long. Will you be bold and listen to their grievances? Premier, after your election, you asked the opposition to work together. You actually said that to me. But here's the reality. There's only one thing that stands in the way of the Free State becoming a vibrant province, and that's your party. It's easy to quote Facebook readers. I'm also going to quote someone, Zama Luvan, who said, "No amount of shuffling and or reshuffling will save the ANC, #dead." Thank you, Premier.
Honorable members, I know I said I would rule when I consulted Hansard on whatever Honorable Klute has said. But I wish to bring to the attention of this House that we don't have Honorable MEC Bulwana amongst us because he is hospitalized. He is ill. So that is why he is not here. And we wish him speedy recovery. Maybe I should have made that announcement from the beginning. Honorable MEC Kondoi, you may address the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, the newly elected Premier and the Chairperson of the Glorious Liberation Movement, that is the ANC, all members of the legislature, invited guests, different media houses that are present, all members that are on the visual platform. Honorable Speaker, allow me to pay a warm gratitude to the Honorable Premier for the well and calculated plans that he presented in his SOPA, where all these plans will continue to address the imbalances of the past that seek to undermine the integrity and the intelligence of our black people. Premier re a leboha haholo. Honorable Speaker, one of the key fundamental principle of the government is to address various housing settlement matters facing many historically disadvantaged communities living in rural townships and peri-urban areas across all the country. Hence the progressive and radical approach where the Premier outlined his plans in completing the outstanding incomplete houses within the province. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, hore ki bue ka puo ya ka ya letswele hobane re a tseba hore baahi ba rona ba mametse ha re tla ntlheng ena ya matlo ao e leng hore ha a fela ka hara province ya rona. Empa ke qale ka ho ananela hore Premier nakong eo o ne o ntse o le MEC ya Human Settlement, you took all efforts in ensuring that you conduct an audit. As we speak currently, Honorable Speaker, audit ya matlo a sa felang e fedile, alongside with the municipalities. And I would also like to pass my gratitude to the Minister of Human Settlement, Mema Moloko Kubai, who worked hand in hand with NHBRC within our province in ensuring hore matlo ana a 11,000 are being attended to. But furthermore, Honorable Premier, how no le MEC, you took an effort or make some effort in ensuring matlo ana la sa fela hona le matlo ao e leng hore o lawa etsa hore a ahuwe. But despite taking such effort, it was like you are throwing a tennis ball against the wall, because this is an elephant in the house. Hence this radical approach where you are going to work hand in hand le NHBRC. Ke dumela hore ba bang ba di beneficiaries bao e leng hore ba tlo una letsatsi la kajeno, Honorable Speaker, they are very delighted and very excited hore seriti sa bona at the end of the day se a khutla hobane matlo ana hanka ka qolla ka etsa mohlala hore ne le matlo a mofuta ofeng. Matlo ana re buang ka ona, Honorable Speaker, ke matlo ao e leng hore bo ra kontraka nakong e fetileng ha ba ka ba etsa mosebetsi ka tsela e nepahetseng. And a leader, it needs all the changes. Eba a leader that will accept.
I'm going to request everybody in the house. I don't know whose phone keeps ringing, whether it's one of the members or the guests. Please keep your phones on silent. Proceed, MC.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I was trying to indicate that a leader ya sebele ke moetapele e leng hore o accepta di weaknesses tse leng hore di teng tshebetso eo e leng hore o yo. Hence the Premier indicating hore all these 11 incomplete houses will be attended to. Re a leboha hore o ananela bofokodi bo etsahetseng ka hara province ya rona, mme re tla ka maano a hore matlo ana a ya fela. Let me indicate, as I was trying to outline, hore matlo ana ke a mofuta ofe. Matlo ana, Honorable Speaker, ke matlo ao e leng hore amang a ona ha tloa a ahuwe ho ha. Ebe di beneficiary ho thwe di qetile ho ahuwe matlo ho bona. Amang a matlo ke matlo ao e leng hore a siwe ka di slabs. Amang a matlo ke matlo mo e leng hore ho thwe ho na le di toilete. Ebe ho tla thwe ntlo e ahuwe atho ahuwe toilete fela. Empa ke rata ho leboha hore that assessment e laetswa ke department ya Human Settlement hore we need to go to the bottom of this crisis or of this elephant that I had just indicated, that there is an elephant in the house and re tlameha hore re kgaole molala. Ke dumela hore, Honorable Speaker, NHBRC, as we conduct this process and ensuring that we are going to attend to these incomplete houses, let there be qualified contractors who have adequate skills in ensuring that this 11,000 houses will be completed. And one of the hotspots in the province, it is in Maluti, Apofung, and Botshabelo, where many houses are not being incompleted. Re rata ho leboha hore the NHBRC, Honorable Premier, the Minister, Memamuluku Kubai, will be assisting the process. And I'm also submitting that the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs must also monitor the process thereof. Honorable Speaker, it will be
MC, please pause. Switch off the mic.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just want to find out if the Honourable MEC will take the question.
Honorable MEC, are you prepared to take a question?
unfortunately no, Honorable Speaker. Let me also further indicate that we welcome the speech, a progressive speech thereof, whilst we are dealing with the housing issues. The other critical issue within the province that had been lying there for so many years, the issue of the asbestos houses within the province. Honorable Premier, thank you very much that despite the fact that there is a case that is sitting before the Court of Laws, including the very same one that one alluded to earlier on with backlog of the incomplete houses, we cannot deny our communities or our constituencies the right to shelter. That at the end of the day, you'll be working side and side with the DBSA in ensuring that we eradicate asbestos within the province. Ke dumela le hore baahi ka hara province, especially monana mo re leng teng, bo Heidedal, you go to Sasolburg, you go to Kroonstad, all the towns in the province that are challenged with asbestos issues will be attended to. Because if they are not attended to, it is going to pose a threat to the health and the well-being of our communities, and it is going to be very stressful to the Department of Health if such matter is not being attended to. Honorable Speaker, we are very excited that at the end of the day, accredited qualified service providers will be the ones who will be attending to the matter of the asbestos. Honorable Premier, ensure that all the service providers that will be appointed are accredited, because not any contractor will be eligible to remove the asbestos within the province. It doesn't matter whether you have a general building grade 9 or grade 8, but if you don't have accreditation to remove asbestos, it is going to be a problem, even to our communities. Honorable Speaker, infrastructure is a challenge. And if infrastructure is a threat to our communities, it also poses a threat to the economy of our province. Allow me to indicate to the House that we are also excited around the issue of township revitalization within the province, where 14 towns had already been attended to, and the 255 million being budgeted for to complete these roads within the township. And paramount to indicate that if infrastructure is in good state, it means you are going to be able to sustain the township economy and the economy itself within our province. And ke rata ho leboha MEC Makalo ho starta ka program ya hae ya township economy within the province. But unless we attend to our roads in the province, then it is going to be very much difficult, especially around transportation of goods and services. Even it also poses a threat to health services. When ambulances when Department of Health want to do its job, it becomes very difficult because the ambulances will not be able to move smoothly within our township. Also, including, Honorable Speaker, our own drivers who are having different cars, it also poses a threat to the municipalities because there will be lots of litigations within the municipalities. And we know that municipalities are battling with the finances. And we cannot afford, at the end of the day, to have many litigations within the province. Honorable Speaker, allow me to once again thank the Honorable Premier for considering the CDPs around the Operation Valazonke in the province, where the Minister of Police and Roads and Transport launched this operation on the 8th of August 2022 in ensuring that we close the potholes within the province. Honorable Speaker, let me indicate to the Honorable Premier that, Honorable Premier, 214 CDPs were trained in this province. They received theoretical training, but not all of them were being utilized within the province, and reasons thereof, inadequate budget for other departments. Now, to me, I regard it as a skewed beneficiation around our CDPs, because at the end of the day, when we utilize them, we sustain economy, we increase job creation within the province, and our youth, as you had indicated, that our youth is highly challenged, our youth is unemployed. When we appoint or utilize the CDPs within the province, it means at the end of the day, Honorable Premier, we are going to create jobs in our province. Let me also indicate that the very same CDPs that are being trained within the province, they had approached the government not once, not twice, where they had been battling in getting the jobs, but I'm excited that at the end of the day, Honorable Premier, we are going to utilize these CDPs within the province.
Thank you.
If the mission is not realized and achieved at the end of the day, no results. Thank you. I support the SOPA.
There is one presiding officer here. Honorable members, please put your phones on silence. If you can't, switch it off. Honorable Msimanga. Honorable Nanyan, you are out of order. Proceed, Honorable Nanyan.
Let me greet the provincial chairperson of EFF in Free State, Commissar Coach Lipoko, Deputy Secretary of the EFF, Amelia Chabalala, the Provincial Treasurer, Faita Sipati Nanyani, and take this opportunity to greet the committee running the common affairs of the capital in the province under the stewardship of Premier Mxolisi Dukwana and Speaker Merciful. Ours in Free State and South Africa, it remains a bourgeois state, new colonial state, new liberal state. That's how we characterize it, which has demonstrated almost to three decades, both in form and content, to be intervening in the interest of the ruling class, while our people are left stranded, given crumbs from the master's table. Hence today, unemployment is far worse than under the apartheid regime. Hence, black people continue to relate to means of production as sellers of labor power, while their white counterparts as those who are owning and controlling the means of production, especially land. infrastructure, which was somehow in a better conditions under apartheid regime, has been run down by ANC government because of poor planning and corruption. Amilcar Cabral says we must claim no easy victories, we must tell no lies. We must expose lies. This is our reality in Free State. Having said that, Premier, I must really say, must confess that you delivered a proper supper which was inspiring. But Basotho ba re molomo o tshela noka e tletse. Jwale ha ke batla ke believer o wena with whatever you have said around 24-hour clinic, which you took from the EFF manifesto, of course. Ke khutlela morao ke shebe performance ya hao while you were the MEC of COGTA and Human Settlement. There are a number of great spots. Tšhelete e khutletse morao ya Mangau, more than 300 million. Lefapha la hao le spentile 18%, especially on human settlement. Ha batho ba ntse ba bolawa ke di-asbestos. That on its own, it's a characterize as someone whose spirit is willing but the flesh remains weak to implement the program of action moving forward. So, you spoke around issue ya the hospital. May long more during load shedding of mana dipetlele dia safara. Or tonka we say the generators. Whoever who was assisting you to compile the speech has misled you. Haona matata di generators go di hospital. Matata ke matata a di tender because ha o kgone ho deliverwa diesel during the load shedding, but belong or ba kentse ntho tse ba hemang ka tsona ba thole oxygen. Ba qetelletse ba hlokahala ka bongata ba bona. I will want to make an example, A1, with Bitumelo Hospital, where in the presence of the MEC of Health and the HOD, one staff member, Ula Ayema, look, we're about now to lose our professions because Reshebile batho hopelessly and helplessly ba shwa ka pela matswaro ka lebaka la hore hona le mathata a hore ha load shedding e le teng. Ge bana le mathata tsa di generator di sebetse because ha ona di diesel ke mathata re tholang re le ka rao. So you are misled if you work at the generator. You are prescribing a wrong medicine to a patient, a global patient. On issue of 24-hour clinic, you can celebrate highly fela ko Mangau. So ntse le bua ka tsone le bo Fijon Screw. Planning ya lona e poor, Premier. If I were you, I will start with Kharib, particularly Letsimeng, because in Letsimeng, how na hospital? That's where you need 24-hour clinics, so that our people, they can be assisted after hours, because baya kula after hours. So ntho tse tsa rona tse le di utswang, o bo fumana le ditsele no botsa beng ba tsona le tlo lahlela. On issue of job creation, you spoke about 50-something thousand of EPWPs. I challenge you. Go and put database ya EPWP kapa ya CWP mo. Obonka otlele membership database wa ANC. I can show you the similarities. 80% more ke members tsa ANC. So stop saying you are alleviating poverty amongst black people. You are assisting each other as comrades. It's not about our people. It's about yourselves, lidutsi le aja, on behalf of the masses. This is what you are doing. Libuile ka staff se loreng a se qualify. Libuile ka staff se redundant. Premier, you must start with your office. there's a nickname ya office ya e bitswa Lendela. Any person who useless Kara province, o ba sa tseng ba ka mo isa ka ba mo isa Lendela, Lendela ke office ya hao. And if you are serious about dealing with this thing, you must start. Mo tlamelo start teng pele, o tlamelo start office ya o nkise dintho ko office ya hao. Then we'll see or now serious go loka. Now o bua ka land audit. Your predecessor o itse o ntsha ditsha. Batho ba tlo thola ditsha. Ha re lebelletse re tla thola report ya ditsha, ha o sa bua ka ditsha. You are talking of something else, land audit. Wena o move at step backward. Ho etsahetseng ka ditsha tse tlamehile di ntshwe ke your predecessor le montsa o feta. We must be told to write exactly what has happened ka ditsha tse, because ne re expectile ditsha. And re bua ka non-payment of services. I'm making again humble plea to you. Let the provincial government lead by example patale di services so that community can start paying services. We must decolonize Free State. This thing of participating in Commonwealth, maybe I must take you back hanyanyana ke lise history. Ka 1926, ha Britain conference in Ekopana, ila decide o batho be lo reng ba falo ya lethia bona to king and the queen Elizabeth kana ko e.
Thank you.
Ke bona ba participate in Commonwealth.
The time has expired.
Yeah.
Honorable MEC Kabati.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to the House. And Speaker, let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Premier once more for being sent by the ANC to serve the people of the Free State. A task that is not easy, Premier. You will therefore forever be in our prayers, that as you grab the baton and run with it, our Almighty God and the ANC ancestors be with you all the time and lead the way. You committed to serve the people of the Free State with great respect, integrity, and devotion. We believe in you. We trust that is what you are going to do. Mare opposition parties di tla o rwakala ho ntso ba sebeletsa. Hobane ba benefita dintleng tse etswang ke mokgatlo wa ANC. But never mind them. Soldier on. Do good anyway and continue serving them also. Thank you very much, Premier, for showing us otherwise from what the opposition and the negative media wants to portray about the ANC. You gave us hope on the 28th of February when you presented your State of the Province address. You didn't hide the challenges, but you also spoke very well on the achievements and reminded us that indeed, ANC is a caring organization, and over time, it has built the lives of the people for better. You indicated that as at the end of the third quarter, 2021, the unemployment rate was 38.1. But as the end of quarter 3 in 2022, the unemployment rate had decreased to 33.8%. That's a positive quantum leap. And for that to happen, it is because of a conducive environment created by the Free State government as led by the ANC for business to prosper, and therefore managed to reduce unemployment. And we are saying, Amanda Kulendao. Speaker, the ANC is portrayed as uncaring to its communities by its detractors and haters, even though they benefit. Whereas in reality, the ANC government takes care of the life of a person from the cradle to the grave. Ho tloha mpeng ya motswadi ho ya lebitleng, puso ya ANC e hlokomela motho. Let me take you through the trail of what I am saying, Speaker. Ha mosadi a le mmeleng o ya tleliniking ya mahala, o a thuswa mo re bophelo bo be botle le ba lesea. Ha a lo tswala o ya sepetlele, ha a patale letho, wa tswala wa thuswa ka lesea hore le hlahe. Ha le qeta ho hlaya o ya Home Affairs, o fihla a nka birth certificate. Ha qeta ho fumana birth certificate ya ngwana, o ya SASSA, o lo fumana child support grant ya ngwana. Ha ngwana a le dilemong tsa ho ya ECD, di matron le di ECD practitioners ba patalwa ke mmuso for ngwana yo hore a be ka hara ECD. O a ja ngwana ko ECD, and ha hona mo mmuso o reng tlisa child support grant ya hae, o e tshwere o le motswadi, mmuso o tswella pele wa o thusa. Ha fihla primary le high school, quintile 1, 2, 3 ke mahala, o a ja ngwanona sekolong. Ke thuso eo mmuso o fanang ka yona. Ha o re tlisa grant, tswella pele o thusa over and above the grant as a parent. Ha qeta o pasa at a high school level, eba o fetela tertiary, hona le NSFAS ya thusa ya ke ka ho patalla dithuto. Ha ngwana pasitse hantle, that fund e fetoha bursary ya mahala, ha patale letho. Ha qeta o kena sekolo, a ba le hloonolo a thola mosebetsi a sebetsa. Ha fihla mosebetsing, mmuso o no thusa le ba sebetsang. Ha fihla mosebetsing, medical aid was subsidized, pension fund ya subsidized, ba bang ba subsidized on their houses, ba bang ba subsidized on their vehicles. Ha pension a ya hae, o kgutlela SASSA, o lo fuwa an old age grant. So ru thusa ho tloha tlhaho ho fitlhella o lo ithoballa ho o thotseng. Mme tsena tsohle di etsahala hona jwale ka nako ya puso ya ANC, ha di etsahale neng kapa neng. Ila ka tshwara national party ena e bitswang DA hona jwale, di ne di le siyo ntho tsena ka nako ya bona. Ka hodima tseo kaofela, masepala le yena wa o fa 6 kiloliter ya metsi mahala. Aba boele a o thuse hape ka discount on services if ile hore you are a registered indigent member of the community. A se tlhokomelo na yo speaker na. Ho tsena tsohle e tla nne yo rwa ke premier opposition se ke wa tsotella ha bella pele fela. Premier o buile le rona mare wa riskera ba proud ka maemo ao. Ayo e ka reng re fetoha a social welfare state. You therefore encouraged us that re hahabele pele, re ensure hore we transform our society by building consciousness and capable citizens that are self-reliant. And that is what we are going to do, Premier. You further said to us, certain percent allocated to joint departments of economic cluster must be significantly increased over time so that we can build the economy of the Free State. And re dumellana le wena, Premier, batho ha ba thuswe, ba tsebe ho sebetsa, ba tsebe ho itshebetsa le ba itshebeletse, ba tsebe ho hlokomela ba malapa a bona. Speaker and Premier, gender-based violence is another pandemic. The SAPS Crime Stats report of October to December 2022 records that 4,539 gender-based violence cases for adult women were experienced. It further records that 838 cases against children were recorded. It means that in 3 months, on a daily basis, a woman was killed. It means that 50 women were killed. It means that in 3 months, 9 children were killed per day. It's a pandemic that we must fight. We won't do it alone. We invite our communities, as you had requested, Speaker, to fight this pandemic with us, that we win over. You said to us, Premier, these things can end only if we can go back to the basics. Support the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture with a budget that is better to be able to build Batopele, to be able to build Ubuntu, to be able to build social cohesion so that we can build better communities. And you said Makufe must come back as one of the programs that was able to build the... Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable members, there is only one presiding officer in the House, and the presiding officer can see when the time is up. Thank you. Honorable Mugwena.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Premier stated that the ANC-led government is going to explore the implementation of solutions like 24-hour-a-day roadworks. While the Speaker is exploring, people are dying on our roads. The Premier needs to take decisive action to stop the real reasons for the state of our roads, which are cater development, deployment, corruption, irregular awarding of tenders. Saving lives needs action, not exploration. A functioning roads network are an economic artery of the Free State, and this government is a parasite sucking the province dry. 1.9 billion rand is allocated to the upgrading of roads in this year. Among them, R26 between Bethlehem and Ladybrand. Sanral has indicated in the parliamentary question or reply that they will take over and maintain this particular road. They also indicated, Honorable Speaker, that they are awaiting the letter from the Premier's office explaining the need for this. It must be noted that on the 15th of December, a commitment was made that this road will be handed over. With this kind of an answer from the parliamentary question, it shows that that action was never done. Therefore, we are saying it's easy to speak than to act. If Sanral has taken over this and other provincial roads, money can be spent on the roads in the province. I have spent almost 4 months since becoming member of this legislature, traveling around the Free State, doing oversight on our dilapidated roads. Ha o kgonahale hore ka nako eo ke nang le yona kapa eo ke e fuweng, nka bolela ditsela tseo kaofela. The road between Fixbeck all the way to Senegal, tsela e pakeng tsa Wesselsbron le Bothaville, tsela e pakeng tsela tsane 705 le 48 around Koffiefontein, tsela ena o thweng ke S1066, S1215, di senyehile ho ha pula e nele, batho ba sa kgoneng ho feta mono. The killer roads are many, but they include those between Edenville and Heilbron, Wepener and Van Stadensres, Warden and Vrede and Heilbron. The bridges that connect Koffiefontein and Orangeville are ticking time bombs. Rosendal has become an island town due to dilapidated roads and a lack of care from the provincial government. The Democratic Alliance will continue to monitor and do oversight on these and many other roads, never failing to hold the Premier and his cabinet accountable. But we are not here only to criticize, we also want to offer solutions. The policy of cadre deployment must stop. Corruption must be rooted out. Tenders must be awarded based on merit to companies that have the required capacity, knowledge, and experience. The state of a provincial economy demands that every rand be stretched and properly accounted for. Provincial and municipal governments should partner with the private sector to improve service delivery, especially our roads. Honorable Speaker, we can no longer allow our people to continue to suffer due to corruption and lack of leadership. We need to give them a government that cares, a government that provides them with the promises enshrined in our Constitution. For as long as we have a democracy, we have hope. Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier, members of the Provincial Legislature, and let me say, all protocol observed. Let me remind some amongst us here, where do we come from as the ANC? The ANC, since inception, has been a revolutionary movement and an agent for change, always seeking to act with and in the interest of the people. There's always been an organization that adapts to external and internal challenges and change. Having said that, Madam Speaker, let me state bold and confirm that very few organizations and parties survived for more than a century, whether in local, continental, and global challenges, but the ability and resilience has characterized the ANC over a decade of struggle to lay the foundation for a new democratic order. Born at the turn of the last century, the ANC was formed against the backdrop and in response to the Union of South Africa in 1910 and, of course, the 1913 Land Act. The growth of the mining energy industry, the consolidation of colonialism of a special type and patriarchy, the growth of the Volksstatism in tandem with grand apartheid, becoming a mass movement in the 50s, bannings and exile, and the transition up until 1994. It lived through 2 wars, the consolidation, the struggles against dismantling of colonialism through the 1917 Russian Revolution, and the 1918 Spanish flu, the Great Depression of the 1930s, the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, the war on terror, unilateralism, multilateralism, structural adjustment programs, globalization, rising neoliberalism, the growth of the regional bloc, and recently, through the global COVID-19 pandemic. Organizationally, this 113-year-old challenges, with the ebbs and the flows, and sometimes with the very existence in question. And yet the ANC continued to regenerate, renew, and re-engineer its mission and itself, even after a range of factors that placed its survival as an organization and a leader of progressive forces into a serious doubt during the late 1920s to 1930s. It survived the severe repression, mass detentions, burning of its allies and leaders, treason trials, and steady advances of grand apartheid and consolidation of apartheid and patriarchy in the years that I've defined, the 40s up until the 60s. The ANC adopted to and emerged intact, in fact, it emerged intact after the illegality and 30 years of exile from its burning around the 1960s, with a large number of its leadership and activists in prison or banned, and up until it was unbanned in 1990. At the advent of our democracy, as the nation was emerging from the more 3 centuries of colonialism, oppression, one of the esteemed leaders, Nelson Mandela, described as an extraordinary human disaster that has lasted for far too long. And he urged that out of that experience had to be born a society of which all humanity would be proud of. To that optimistic nation, with the symptoms of a hospitalized, parturient woman, he averred the following: our daily deeds as ordinary South Africans must produce an actual South African reality that will reinforce humanity's belief in justice, strengthen its confidence in the nobility of human soul, and sustain all our hopes for the glorious life for all. Madam Speaker, indeed, during the past 29 years, we, as the Free Staters, strive to live up to these injunctions conferred on us by that great leader of our people. As we'll be celebrating his 105th anniversary in July this year, it is politically correct to recall these words of wisdom, the thoughts and the injunctions we narrated above, his dreams for our nation, in order to remind ourselves of the prodigious expectation that still lies ahead of our efforts to build a society and a country of which humanity, as I've indicated, will be proud of. Almost 29 years later, Premier Dukwana has captured the moment and the mood aptly in delivering his inspirational inauguration State of the Province address, when he invoked the quotation from President Ramaphosa saying that whatever the difficulties of the moment, whatever the crisis we face, we will rise to meet them together, and together we will overcome them. The Premier, in his speech, just to jog our memories, honorable members who are gathered here, demonstrated a resolve to confront allegations of state capture and corruption through Judicial Commission of Inquiry and a plethora of investigations which have been conducted by the Hawks Asset Forfeiture Unit and other agencies within government. Responding to the environment of eroding public trust in the early 20th centuries, the former US President Theodore Roosevelt intimated that, I quote, "There are in the body politic, economic and social, many and grave evils, and there's urgent necessity for the standards war upon them. There should be a relentless exposure of an attack upon every evil man, whether politicians or a businessman, every evil practice, whether in politics, business, or in social life, I hail as a benefactor every writer or speaker, every man who on the platform or in the book, the magazine or the newspaper, with merciless severity make such an attack, provided that in his turn he shall remember that the attack is of use only if it is absolutely truthful. These words means that all of us who have the honor to serve as public representatives and officials should be prepared to subject ourselves to public scrutiny. Whatever you said, Honorable Premier, on Tuesday, require us to make difficult and necessary trade-offs. Important to ensure that which you said present a platform for renewal, inclusive growth, job creation for the unemployed youth, specifically in our province. The premier, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, outlined an abiding vision for our province that has resonated well within the broadest cross-section of our Free Staters, fired us all with hope and enthusiasm and cash, in fact, and of the course ignited a sense of renewal. Towards the realization of this vision, the Premier's address presented us with the challenges and opportunities to reflect on our socio-economic conditions broadly and how government can support both the social and economic objectives we pursue for the benefit of our people. This is the challenge of our time, to build the Free State which all the citizens have decent standard of living, access to economic opportunities, and above all, the pursuit of their dreams. Honorable Speaker, given the choices we had to make, both as a society and as government, in preparing the trajectory lying ahead, I'm reminded of the words of Leon Bennett Jr. in his writings of, I quote, "the road not taken." He intimated that a nation is an amalgam of critical decisions made during censorious moments which divaricate like delta in the road. A nation is a choice. It chooses itself at thoughtful forks in the road by turning left or right, by giving up something or taking something, and giving up and taking in the deciding and not deciding, the nation becomes. Given the difficult circumstances we have been in and the choices we had to make in order to steer the course, maintain the treasury of our policy objectives, and sustain our public finances, it was not surprising that the Premier had made tough calls and directives that are intended to affirm our nationhood. It therefore means, Honorable Speaker, that the commandments made by the Premier to us, who are the shock troopers representing the interests of our people in this chamber, will not easily execute because of the choices we have to make, which are difficult in nature and would become, as Spirella reminds us, that there is no thrill in easy sailing when the skies are clear and blue. There's no joy in merely doing things which anyone can do, but there is more satisfaction and fulfillment that is mighty and sweet to take when you reach a destination that you thought you would never make. As the ANC, through our liberation struggle and the advent of our democracy, we have shown incredible perseverance, humanity, selflessness, and courage, to the disappointment of our detractors sitting on the left side of this House. Honorable Premier, through your command, we shall choose yet again to do things that Madiba dare us to do at the advent of our democracy that will affirm humanity's conviction in the nobility of our cause and its pride in our effort and daily assets. Let this be the year of renewal, revitalization, and a step of change in progress, while fostering inclusive growth with the intention to roll back unemployment, poverty, and equality. Madam Speaker, we acknowledge that government is responsible for providing services, especially at local government level, and many communities are getting, of course, less than they are supposed to get. It is for this reason that the Honorable Premier has identified, as well as putting forward, plausible solutions to the perils amongst us, perils of leadership deficiencies, both political and administrative, by using a state as a tool to mitigate the gravity of some of these perils, especially at local government level. Local government, Premier, you indicated, as well as all of us know, contributed to the first significant financial management and governance challenges. Too many of our municipalities do not charge services that reflect the full cost of services they deliver, in particular water services. Many municipalities do not collect the funds that are owed to them and do not adopt credible budgets as well as the IDP. And as a result, they are unable to pay their own creditors. In the department plan of COGTA, we hope that an extensive capacity support will be provided to these municipalities which are in the state of terminal paralysis. This, you said, Honorable Premier, will be realized or achieved through fixing of potholes, expeditiously, immediate resolution of water supply problems in our municipalities, and the prevention of sewer flowing into the streets and the rivers in specifically identified municipalities as a matter of immediate priority. Dirty streets, uncollected garbage, neglect, cemeteries, and illegal dumping will be dealt with, you said. And sufficient resources will therefore be allocated to that effect so that in collaboration between the municipality, provincial government, and departments, inclusive of the private sector, this aim will be achieved. Madam Speaker, let me demystify the myth that has been perpetually been turned into sweet melody in the eyes of our people as if it is a revelation by forever stating, in fact, that corruption was brought to life by the ANC. And I want to state bold today and remind all of us the origin of this cancer. It is common cause that every society bears the birthmark of the old order. Apartheid was inherently corrupt as it was a gross crime against humanity. The entire edifice of apartheid was founded upon a corrupt value system that supported, spawned, and was itself in turn sustained by corruption, which was undertaken by the National Party that gave birth to the DA today. Corruption, therefore, corrodes the essence of the society, the ideal society we seek to create, which is the negation of the apartheid society. Obviously, if the markets for fraudulently acquired services is shut down, the demand side would have been crippled and the supply would thus be rendered futile. Honorable Speaker, the creation of an OSIS, those who know English, they will understand OSIS is an asylum within the Free State government in this last term of the 6th administration. Sometimes the ANC, as I conclude, will forever be a flower that will brighten the wedding venue. I thank you.
Honorable Msimang.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker. And greetings to the leadership of the EFF, Commissar Malfani Msimanga, the Provincial Secretary, Deputy Secretary Amelia Chabalala, and the Treasurer Irampel Nanya. Let me quickly wish the roaring lion of the North, the only Commander-in-Chief and the President of the Economic Freedom Battalion, President Sello Julius Malema, well on his birthday today. If I could, I would ask this side, when a speaker, to sing for him, but hey, I'm afraid they might waste his birthday this once. Well, let me quickly address the Premier. I see people coming here, guys, soprano, singing for their meals. It's wrong what they are doing. The sooner you reshuffle, the better for you. The noise will come down. You will hear voices that are coming from the masses of our people. The notion presented here, you must not listen. We are trying to say to you, we're here to assist. We're not here to fight. If we wanted to fight, this whole building would have been down. Maybe Kadi 20th March, you'll see what we do when we reject a government that has reached its sell-by date, a president that must resign. Just a taste. It's not really the fight. But to note that the criticism and self-criticism is a law of development. We're not here to give space for but what will be the papa the political soprano. So allow me to cite just few examples from your speech. So a few days ago, that justify the point I'm trying to make now. You claim to have created something like 50,082 job opportunities through expanded public work programs. It's laughable. EPWP is not sustainable, Premier. And you are so proud to tell us that you created these job opportunities across all spheres of government. I think it's an insult to my people. And in case you're running out of ideas, please invite the EFF to assist you with job opportunities, or at least to create something better. I realize that your battalion perhaps is not helping. And like I'm saying, the sooner you deal with that reshuffling thing, the better. Maybe you might get fresh minds. In the EFF in 2019 and 2021, the election manifesto, we highlighted the importance of special economic zones to create sustainable jobs and quality jobs. We have unused industrial areas in Botshabelo, Tabanchu, and Qwaqwa. We can revive textile industry, Premier, manufacturing industry in our province using these sites. Just in J, go demonstrate the Matlaman, Premier. You missed a golden opportunity to send condolences to the Williams and Musou family who lost their loved ones in Jagersfontein when that poorly constructed Tally Dam burst its walls and as such took their lives. Now even today, Memantele Mokhadi has not been found. The sad part is, it is still business as usual in Jagersfontein for the implicated companies whilst our people remain displaced. And if we allow that state to continue, I'm afraid the posture you are taking, Premier, is that of white monopoly against livelihoods of our people. And the slow pace of building houses is not desirable at all. We urge you to give more people skills and certificates for artisanal mining. People who are zamazamas. It's a cry for help. This province has seen the worst in Jagersfontein, where your white friends have destroyed properties of our people that side. You know, hard-earned properties. People worked their whole lives just to get a house. And it gets destroyed like that by your white friends' company in Jagersfontein. Now, we cannot allow whites from Europe to be given mining rights whilst our people are demonstrating a serious desire to mine. And as such, address high unemployment and lessen crime statistics that are skyrocketing in our province. Majority of these Amazamas are our people, and the practice is more common in Machabe, where you are from, Premier. And this should be viewed, like I said, as a cry for help from the masses of our people. Now we're here to assist, like I said. In case you run out of ideas, just take a short left, because we're always situated on the left. Come to us, we'll share an idea or two. Or perhaps we can assist in just cry and we'll somehow squeeze an idea or two under your office door. Yeah, we'll even draft the artisanal mining draft model. Because it seems like things are hitting a brick wall that side. Premier, your speech seemed to be too shy to allocate land to black people for the purpose of both agriculture and agro-processing. We need to use the sizable land that is lying fallow in the Free State, and it is still in the hands of whites who are no longer toiling the land, but leasing it out to those who are still having appetite to farm actively. We still have to correct the mess and the looting that has happened in Vrede Farm. It was a good initiative that fell directly into the hands of ANC looters, and that consequently spoiled an economic opportunity for our people. Our healthcare facilities have been run with shortages, Premier. And they have been now turned into slaughter zones that our people are afraid of. And we have a team of doctors, about 45 doctors, that are represented by Dr. Tim Lefe, that the Free State government itself had sent abroad to study medicine. They are now completed the studies, but guess what? Your government is refusing them to practice due to the red tapes that you yourselves have set. As EFF officers, we are inundated by calls of patients, babies and adults alike, who have to wait overnight in pain for doctors that is said to be on call, but never even arrive until the next morning. Why? Shortage. And smaller district hospitals bear the brunt. They suffer the most. Hospitals like in Senegal, Diamante, Virginia, and in Windhoek. Free State learners, teachers, SGB, and the SMTs and parents should be applauded for sterling work that they've done to keep our province in the #1 spot as the best performing province in the country, obtaining a whopping 88%. The challenge is that the spaces in our schools do not talk to the population growth. And the rate of school completion is highly incongruent with the spaces in our varsities. Premier, we must learn to direct the educational efforts towards the economic needs. To this question. Otherwise, how is it that the expanded unemployment is at 39.6? Kopa thuso mo Premier re thuse. Re ikemiseditse ho thusa. GBV and femicide rate is alarmingly high in the Free State. And the high has been between April and June in 2022, recording 1,669 cases. There's a war raging against women and children, right under your nose in your province. And you are silent about it. In silence, I mean there's no action. You can make nice speeches about it, but if there's no action, it means we're killing the nation if we're killing women and children. You cannot be proud to have opened a safe house and even maybe liken them to rocks. Maybe that's why these things are happening in our province. It should be emphasized that no Free State woman is a rock. We must encourage men to hold symposia and marches against GBVs and femicide scourges. Premier, you must respond to racism and eviction that is meted against farm dwellers and farm workers, especially in Thaba Mofokeng. Whites are doing as they please that side. Right under your nose, in your backyard, there's a serious concern in silence. We need to see you working barefoot against racism, same way you did when you went to score political points in Jagersfontein. No citizen of this province must be persecuted, harassed, and killed because they are poor, servants of white farmers, or even uneducated. You must rise to the occasion, Premier. The time is around. This time around, there is no Zondo Commission to report to. We want to see you confronting racism head on. Lastly, the Free State province, led by the ANC, has been an epitome of fraud and corruption for a while now. Oh, Jesus. I'll go to the Premier. Auditor General Statistics bear testimony in this regard. We need to see more arrests, more convictions, but this time against your comrades. And that's the time where we'll know that you'll be choosing the sides of the dejected, marginalized black masses of this province against your own comrades. Even if they hate you, at least your people still love you. But you must choose their side. The question is, will you choose poor masses choose poor masses of our people or corrupt comrades who are constantly looting Free State government resources? I thank you very much.
Honorable Mohali, you may take the podium.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker,
Order, honorable members.
honorable members of the legislature, our guests in the gallery, the people of the Free State, and to his inaugural address made in this house last week. The future he was referring to is not only the better future we strive for ourselves, but for the upcoming generations as well. As he has indicated in his own words that we should be leaders, because leaders, they are not only living for today and for themselves, but they are focused more on the upcoming generations as well. That's a clear demonstration, Deputy Speaker, that the ANC Premier is a visionary. It's not only coming here to impress or try and take the organization, the ANC, are well thought because they intend not only to be for today, but to lay a solid foundation for the upcoming generation so as to leave a long-lasting legacy as opposed to what was happening in the past. The SOPA laid a solid foundation for creation of this better future in that it gave a clear direction for the upcoming financial year 23-24. State of the Province Address has created a number of economic opportunities in each aspect. We need to reiterate the fact that we see economic prospects in each service delivery activity and other initiatives that are taking place in the province. And as such, we strive to optimize all those in the best interests of our people. For an example, there are massive economic opportunities in infrastructure delivery in terms of input items that can be produced locally. When the Honorable Premier announced the infrastructure delivery interventions, that basically translates that they will contribute directly in bettering the lives of the Free Staters. Because the genuine business people, as he has indicated, will take advantage of that, and not only in terms of opportunities for tenders, but for those that are in productive sectors, will see an opportunity to be the producers as opposed to just be the consumers. Because as we have said, we want everything that we consume or that we utilize in this province to be done right here in the province of the Free State. So gone are the days when all of those inputs will be imported from other provinces. So the economic opportunities that we have saw when the Premier announced the infrastructure interventions are quite much needed that the people of the Free State have been waiting for. Equally, there are also economic prospects in terms of sports and creative sectors, because all the apparels and all the equipment that the sector is using equally creates a demand for their production within the borders of our province by the locals in terms of the goods themselves and for the maintenance that will be required. But there are also some of the indirect spin-offs that come from having those activities taking place in terms of accommodation, transport, and all the other services that are needed there too. There is therefore an economy as well in the waste management as well as in biodiversity. The call by the Honorable Premier for innovation in the manner which services are rendered supports this initiative. For an example, we have to be creative working together with municipalities in how we manage the issues of waste, because indeed we can turn the waste into cash and the locals can benefit, and it calls upon our innovation as to how do we deal with that as opposed to the conventional methods. We welcome the strides made by the ANC government in trying to resolve the energy crisis, because energy is one of the key enablers for the economy. And as such, economic opportunities brought by the alternative energy sources mechanisms will be quite helpful for the economy of the Free State, especially for the locals. So we'll call upon our people to take advantage, to be in the forefront of all these interventions that the ANC government has brought about. Because there's an opportunity, for an example, when coming to the issues of solar. We still have not had a plant or a production site for the solar panels, for an example, let alone all the batteries, let alone all the other issues that are there, other than those that are just assembling. So there's a clear call that here's an opportunity for our fellow Free Staters. So much as we complain about the issues of security, about the energy security, there is also an opportunity that we can best make advantage of. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the SOPA has been preceded by the release of employment stats, which shows the progress made by the ANC government to create employment. This is evidenced by these figures, which showed that there has been a continuous decline in the unemployment rate, especially in the Free State. Free State is no more the second highest province in terms of unemployment, but the fourth, thanks to the good work by the ANC government, particularly in the province of the Free State. The Free State is now in position to implement all these measures that are necessary for economic interventions because of the 11 economic sector plans that are guiding each economic sector towards realization of transformation and development goals. Because we now know the sector demographics and dynamics and opportunities that must be exploited to expedite job and wealth creation. This master plan aims at accelerating economic growth and development, which will bear the fruits of creating jobs as well as equal participation in the economy for our people. Again, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the stability in governance and management affairs of the Free State Development Corporation and MEPE-CZ needs to be noted, which have been brought about by the provincial government, is a testimony to commitment to clean governance, and as such, places the two entities in better position to can now receive much needed resources, because there is now an assurance and confidence that they are in position to serve the intended purpose. It is now worth noting that the SEZ has been playing a supportive role in terms of using electricity infrastructure to benefit the entire community of Harrismith, and not only in the zone during the time of crisis. We have lived indeed, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to our commitments to ensure that we get things right in terms of governance, because unless we have clean government, you will not be able to do anything. Now we are proud that there are now stable boards of directors in both entities. All the issues that relates to the ownership and all of those matters incidental thereto have been resolved, because the two entities now function within the acceptable corporate governance principles, with now new management in the FDC, which is well competent. The only issue now is to find resources so that the FDC can be a catalyst as has been envisaged. And the commitments to continue revitalizing and prioritizing industrial parks is the music in the ears of many investors. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, for that commitment, because this commitment came at the time when much work has been done by the department and some of the major textile operators who have now signed the commitments to move to the province of the Free State, who have considered the province as ideal in which they can relocate their operations. This has immediately created potential opportunities for local operators who will benefit from the major offtake agreements with large retailers brought about by these operations. When the textile industry continues to boom, it also creates opportunities for locals because all the activities are not only taking place within a factory by all of those major ones that are operating the factory, but it allows even all those mamas who are working in their backyards or in their garages to also participate, to have a role to play in the production of any other garment. And as a result, they also participate meaningfully in the economy of their local area. Because the fact of the matter is, it is very difficult for these big retailers to have the direct offtakes with all of those small scale due to the quantities. But with the bringing of these bigger operators, it comes very handy for them because they are able to give opportunities for them as well. We are among the few provinces in the country, in fact, the second province specifically, that has launched an investment book, and that has started to bear the fruits. An example is a smelter in Botshabelo, which when we announced about it in Tabancho, many amongst us in the house said that that is a joke, that cannot happen. We are proud to announce that at any given time, we can now be able to make a big announcement that more than 2,000 people are indeed going to receive their job opportunities. But now during construction, almost 200 young female people are already working at that particular smelter. So whatever that we say is never a dream or is never a lie, as many have always purported that to be. The objective is to increase the rental revenue, the occupancy, as well as the private sector partnerships in those properties in the industrial parks. Our good relations with the private sector is bearing fruits as we are benefiting from the sector's expertise and strong financial capacity. We must perhaps remind honorable members that the major role of the private sector in the economy relative to the public sector is job creation, precisely because private sector constitute or account for more than 90% or more than 90%, 95% of economic activities in the country. So if you compare the private sector and the public sector, it makes sense that we continue to work together with the private sector for them to increase their production and also be receptive and supportive to our call for job creation. Under economic reconstruction and recovery plan, we remember that the plan has identified investment in infrastructure as a key focus for economic recovery. But importantly, it says this must happen through localization. The commitment of the Premier to make efforts of ensuring that we finalize the bill, the one that was presented in this House last year, which many tries to oppose, is quite encouraging because all that which we have said will now be a reality. It will now be possible for the designation of certain business activities within the township, the one that many of our people are always crying about, that it's time that we reclaim our township economy. This legislation will further make it possible to open lucrative and profitable market opportunities in the mainstream economy for our small businesses and farmers by ensuring that their products find space in the mainstream shop shelves of these popular retailers so that our people are not only confined to be the roadside vendors. This commitment, again, will ensure that the use of government purchasing power to create offtakes for production or secondary industries is realized. We are therefore creating an enabling and a conducive environment for deliberate creation of our own Free State black industrialists, because the current monopolies in the big markets will be taken head-on by the state offtake agreements, even on their own, because we all know that the bigger markets are very hostile for small businesses. But this clearly explains why some of the members in this House have a problem with the BEE. This best explains why some of the members have a problem with the legislation that says, let's create opportunities for our people. I just want to put in context the attempt to vulgarize the issue of a BEE. It's quite regrettable, it's quite unfortunate, but nonetheless, it is our duty to continue to educate members about their responsibilities. Last year, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I made reference to the preamble of our Constitution. But this time around, I'm going to the fourth or the fifth line, which then say, it starts by saying, we the people of South Africa. First, we recognize the injustices of our past. That's what we have told the honorable members, that we have reminded them. But let's go further to say, what are these injustices of our past? But our very legislation, the BEE Act of 2003, taking cue from that recognition of our very unfortunate past, says, whereas under apartheid, race was used to control access to South Africa's productive resources and access to skills. And whereas South Africa's economy still excludes the vast majority of its people from level of income earned and generated by the majority of the people. And whereas South Africa's economy performs below its potential because of this discrimination, it is therefore that the Act came into being and adopted by the parliaments to undo those injustices. But perhaps let's remind the members so that we speak the facts, not sentiments as they normally do. It is only post-94 where the GDP of South Africa hit the highest high of 5.6% immediately after introduction of the BEE Act by 5.6 in 2006, because the Act came into being in 2004. So you'll start to see the result of the BEE Act because everyone now started to participate in the economy. Black people were no more only confined to just be the workers. Blacks were now allowed to produce commodities, and as a result, the productivity capacity of the country increased. But let's check what happened before 1994. There has never been such record high growth in the GDP. The last time that it was like that during apartheid was only in 1980. And since then, there has never been any growth of that amount. But importantly, the democratic government shows that even in 2021, where we have recorded the biggest annual change of 11.26%, when we're recovering from COVID, it shows that the ANC is capable, through its policies, through its intervention, to can be resilient no matter the economic condition. So we request our members to be loyal and honest to the oath that they have taken, because the same Constitution is the one that compels us that while we recognize our past, we have a duty to ensure that we deracialize, among others, their economy. So you can't say you are loyal and you take an oath to support the Constitution, at the same time your actions and your agenda is anti that. So we request our members to really be true to the commitment they are just saying to the Premier that we really want to help, we really want to do this by actions as opposed to this hypocrisy that they are saying. But Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Premier made mention about the increasing of a capacity to ensure that young people continue to take part in the agriculture. It is not an accident that even you see all the efforts that we are making in terms of education. The education is responding positively. That is why there are schools of specialization, which ensures that young people are made to understand and taught agriculture at a younger age. Gone are the days where agriculture was a site for oppression, was a site where kids are taken out of school and be kept there to be a cheap labor. But now, young people, blacks in particular, are now embracing agriculture. And the Free State government, we welcome that commitment that we will leverage on this to ensure that agriculture continues to be a career of choice amongst young people. and coming to Makufe and the creative sector. That is a very progressive move to continue identifying that, because as I said, there is economy in each and every activity. Makufe is not only a festival like many of you try to vulgarize it. There is a lot of economic impact that we derive from Makufe. And the call to further reimagine it, where we can also have other social partners, it will indeed take Makufe to the higher level, and it will impact positively on the conditions or the economic conditions of our people. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we welcome and support this progressive as delivered by Honorable Premier Dukwana, because it has truly reflected the ANC commitment that this is the year of decisive action to advance people's interest and renew our movement. Because indeed, this SOPA was people-centered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Let me give over to Honorable Clemens. Honorable Clemens may address the House.
Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, during his State of the Province address earlier this week, we took note that Premier Dukwana failed to acknowledge the two major disasters playing out in the Free State. These are firstly the load shedding crisis, where there is no end in sight and which is decimating the provincial economy and having devastating consequences for our people in terms of safety, access to healthcare, access to basic services, and the loss of jobs through businesses closing. Secondly, the fact that almost all municipalities in the province have collapsed through the weight of corruption and incompetence. Provincial Treasury in June last year reported that every one of the 23 municipalities in the province is in financial distress, in other words, technically bankrupt. Not one municipality received a clean audit from the Auditor General. Debt to Eskom at over 35 billion is double that of any other province, with two of our municipalities in the top 4 in the country for Eskom debt. 75% of our sewage treatment plants are collapsed or collapsing. Many municipalities have no credible billing system, and revenue collection is disastrous. Water and electricity losses through unmaintained infrastructure is close to 60%. Residents of the Free State are living in a nightmare, often with no water for weeks, and on top of load shedding, also often no electricity for weeks or months due to corruption in supply chain units and lack of capacity and resources in electrical departments. Deputy Speaker, Premier Dukwana, as MEC of Cocta, had the opportunity and the power to start to bring change to our municipalities during his 17 months in office. He failed to do so. In November 2021, he issued Section 12 notices to 7 municipalities. In terms of this notice, the MEC had decided to amend the constituting of councils from the Executive Mayoral Committee or MACO system to the Collective Executive Committee or EXCO system. He announced that this decision would be enforced. However, 16 months later, and undoubtedly due to political pressure, not one of these councils has been reconstituted. A spectacular failure. In December 2021, the MEC announced that 5 municipalities would be placed under administration in terms of Section 139 of the Constitution. These were Mafube, Kopanong, Machabeng, Tokologo, and Maluti-Apofung, where the Minister of Finance had asked the Premier to institute a Section 1397 national intervention. None of these interventions has materialized. Only Mafube was placed under administration after a court ordered EXCO to do so. Another spectacular failure and a missed opportunity to get to grips with the issues in some of our worst-run municipalities. In April 2022, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, announced interventions in 3 Free State municipalities in terms of the Water Act. Bloem Water was appointed to manage the water and sanitation functions in Machabeng, Maluti-Apofung and Kopanong. In Kopanong, no MOU has yet been signed to rehabilitate its 9 collapsed sewage treatment plants. In Maluti-Apofung, Bloem Water has been prevented from intervening in the operations and maintenance of water distribution through conflict with the rogue entity MAP Water and its highly paid interim board members who have no qualifications. In Machabeng, the Bloem Water intervention is hampered by only having 6% of its required budget. The municipality also owes Bloem Water 5 billion from previous years. Clearly, the intervention by the Minister of Water and Sanitation can have no positive effect, while 56% of purified water is lost through leaks. Premier, as MEC, you failed to ensure that the water and sanitation interventions in the Free State could bring about any positive change. Through you, Deputy Speaker. Premier, in your speech you state, a number of support interventions have been provided to improve the financial status of our municipalities. Premier, we want to know which are those municipalities. Because almost all municipalities have unfunded budgets, some of them 100% unfunded. Many have no billing system. Most cannot pay creditors and third parties. One municipality has had to keep its 60 pensioners on the payroll because it did not pay their contributions over to the pension funds. Although these pensioners are no longer able to work. Harib District Municipality spends 104% of its budget on salaries. Not one municipality in the Free State got a clean audit. Many got a disclaimer opinion. The AG highlights non-compliance with supply chain management regulations as the main reason for the growing irregular and wasteful expenditure findings. Supply chain units are where the looting happens in our municipalities. And yet you say in your speech, municipalities were provided with supply chain management support. Again, we ask, Premier, which are those municipalities? Equally, we want to know which municipalities adopted funding plans for their unfunded budgets. Which municipalities adopted implementable audit action plans? Which municipalities have MSCOA compliant and well-functioning billing and revenue collection systems? We want to know, Premier. While these support interventions look good on paper, you know, as well as all of us, Premier, that they have not yielded any concrete results. Deputy Speaker, given the background of completely dysfunctional municipalities riddled with corruption and incompetence, load shedding is having a truly catastrophic impact on the provision of water to communities. The high stages of load shedding, which are apparently set to become worse, mean that reservoirs cannot be filled. Despite the fact that a few municipalities in the province have negotiated load curtailment schedules with Eskom, most have not. We are told they didn't know. Truly, the lives of our people are in the hands of these ships of fools. And yet, in his SOPA speech, the Premier does not even mention load shedding. Deputy Speaker, this is very ominous. The Premier knows full well that our municipalities are completely incompetent and inept and would be incapable of managing the effects of load shedding. and yet he mentions no plan to assist municipalities to do so. Through you, Deputy Speaker, Premier, your record in office as MEC does not inspire confidence that you will be able to turn around this province. Your ambitious program of action will be sabotaged by cadre deployment in municipalities and by internal ANC factions which must be appeased at all costs. The complete dysfunction of local government in the province, including district municipalities, which is precisely where all government programs must find expression, will hamper all your good intentions. The Free State is too far gone to be saved without radical interventions in municipalities, and you, Premier, have shown that you do not have the stomach for that. Thank you.
Honorable MEC Mahu.
Thank you so much, Speaker. I realize that Honorable Dipoko was delivering a maiden speech. So I think it is important also, Speaker, just to, he must know, he must not be shy to say thank you to the African National Congress for achieving 88.5% metric pass rate. Thank you to, let me tell you what you must say. Thank you to the African National Congress for doing it for 7 times. Okay. Oh, yes. So these are tips. In Parliament, we do talk these things. And then you must be able also to say thank you to the African National Congress for making sure that many of the schools that were in the townships, that are in the townships, can also attain 100%. Schools such as CDT, they're giving you 100%. Schools such as Sitilwan in Tabancho, they're giving you 100%. No more, because of the intervention of the African National Congress. 100% is no more associated with elitism. Not only elite schools, but even poor schools can attain that. I also wanted to, Speaker, to say to those who are talking about Makufe, I was just listening and I remembered MEC Maha said that many of the honorable members here, when Makufe time comes, they all phone us for tickets. When we are in the sitting here, they all criticize Makufe. Okay, being honest, Makufe. Let me use this opportunity, Speaker, to thank the... don't say it's nonsense. What are you talking? Are you talking to me? What is nonsense? I didn't say you.
No. Let me stop that dialogue. Honorable Jackson, did you say nonsense? Can you withdraw that? No,
I didn't say all of you. Yes, thank you very much. You know, for a white chap to withdraw, it's very painful. I know that, I understand that.
Honorable MEC, please proceed. Don't continue with this dialogue.
Okay.
Withdraw that, Honorable MEC.
Yeah, no, it's square now. A black man will also withdraw. Right. Thank you so much, Speaker. I just wanted to say, Speaker, that as a Department of Education, as an MEC in the social cluster, we are very, very elated that the Premier actually spent most of his time talking about issues of social cluster in the SOPA. We're even more particularly interested or excited that he mentions the strategic nature of ECD. I'm raising these issues because I know there are certain people always erroneously comparing the budgets of social sector and the budgets for economic sector, economic cluster. But I think it is incorrect, because if you look anywhere in the world. You can't have a country that's successful when you say, as the African National Congress says, Speaker, that he also mentions on issues of ECD. Now, there was a report that was designed or created last year in April. And this report is called Thrive by 5. And this report has noted, and this is a report that deals with ECDs. And this report has noted, amongst others, and I quote, children who participate in high-quality ELP, that's early learning programs, are more likely to do better at school, to finish secondary school, progress to tertiary, and even earn higher wages than their peers, close quote. The difficulty we have, Speaker, is that in this country, only 35% of the learners of South Africa are ready for school by the time they leave ECD centers. And actually here in the Free State, we only have got 32% of those learners that are ready to be in school. And this issue has then compelled the movement, the African National Congress, to take various resolutions. And those resolutions said, let us now take ECD to education. And that does not mean that nothing was happening in social development. But what it means is that there are certain programs that were not effective, especially in social development, that can only be done properly by the Department of Education. And those include issues such as early learning programs, especially early numeracy and mathematics, emergent literacy and language, cognitive executive functions, and so on. And we care to say it does not mean now that the ECD is now with the Department of Education, there is no role for other departments. I want to say it, even in the report it says so, that the key stakeholders remain education, health, social development, cooperative government, treasury, because treasury, 87% of these learners who are outside the ECD centers, and monitoring and evaluation in the Premier's office. Speaker, this achievement was made also possible by the Department of Health for vaccination program that they've been engaging for children under 1 year olds, so they are ready, is to increase the measles second dose to about 95 to improve herd immunity. As part of ensuring that children receive quality education at an early age, the Free State Department of Education has already achieved the following. Now we are referring to the ECD side. 1,078 pre-grade art practitioners have been trained on national curriculum framework to ensure that children are developed in ECD size. 2,500 theme posters that guide practitioners to activities that have to be done to develop children have been distributed to all the ECD sites. Additional 24,000 theme posters are already in the process of being procured to ensure that they are also distributed to ECD sites. 3,000 NCF, National Curriculum Framework, that is a curriculum that will be helping the practitioners to train the learners at that level. It have already been distributed to various schools. We are very, very happy. As Mackenzie have said, the quality of education largely in early childhood development, while 200 are currently being upskilled. I know for sure that in the previous financial year, we had budgeted 3 million rand for this. Honorable members of the legislature, the above achievements are a true reflection of the commitment of the African National Congress in achieving and also meeting the targets of making sure we've got the future with our own children. Speaker, the other thing that I wanted to talk exposed only to academic performance, but they must also be able to be trained with technical Mohale has spoken a lot about our focus schools. But I thought it was also important, Speaker, as we close, that I must also refer to the issues of digital skills revolution. Honourable Speaker, it must be noted that programming is the language of the fourth industrial revolution. Our responsibility as the Education Department is to prepare learners for the challenges of the 21st century. That is why we started as a province by introducing coding and robotics as competition in grades 4 to 6 and grades 8 to 11, in partnership with Chieta de Sita and Mersita as part of the co-curricular activities. The aim was to ensure that our learners and teachers are not left behind in the technological advancement that included artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. These schools are supported with content and work schedules. I must also quickly, Speaker, say something about what is happening in health, because I believe that in the Department of Health, we have a silent revolution that is happening in terms of digitization of the whole department. The department is involved in digitizing manual business processes, including digitizing the leave system, movable assets, management, and other administrative processes. They're working very hard to introduce a mobile app that will assist us to monitor the response times and improve the quality of services rendered by the EMS. Their project to digitize paper-based patient files has started at National Hospital. In this year, 10 of other facilities will also benefit from this process. The Premier has also mentioned, and we want to confirm here, that the activity will result in the recruitment of 150 unemployed graduates across the province. So 150 graduates of IT will be employed to make sure that we digitize the whole system of filing in the Department of Health. This project will result in the deployment of Patients Information Management System in collaboration with the Eastern Cape Department of Health. This investment will assist us to curb the growing medical legal exposure, because there's quite a number of charges and expenses that we are spending on medical legal exposure. Our health facilities will be upgraded to high-speed broadcast jointly with CETA. Yes. The department was awarded a converted award by the CPSI for Popular Outbreak Management Information System, which was primarily used to manage COVID-19 outbreak during our time. Don't worry, I'm coming back. In my budget vote, we'll cover all these things. Thank you very much to the African National Congress. Thank you very much to your speech, Premier. I thank you.
Honourable Speaker, thank you. We join you in wishing Honourable Bulwani a speedy recovery in hospital. Speaker, I mentioned after the Premier's SOPA that we listened carefully to what the Premier said, but also to what he deliberately left out. And I will give this House some examples. He mentioned the industrial parks at Botshabelo, Pudadichaba and Tabanshu, as well as the Maluti Apofung Special Economic Zone that has 2 billion rand investments in the pipeline. In last year's SOPA, former Premier Sisi Ntombela said the same thing and also mentioned the same 2 billion SEZ investment. At least the former Premier was honest with the people of the Free State when she said that, and I quote, "These investment plans are hampered by vandalism, and this is worsened by poor electricity and water supply," close quote. As the former MEC responsible for municipalities in the Free State, he obviously deliberately failed to indicate that the pipeline of possible investment is not only the same as last year, but also that the investment pipeline was blocked by the vandalism and poor services of the local municipality. Another pipeline with empty taps on the other side. Yesterday we visited Jagersfontein, and it is sad that the lives of people there have not improved since the tailings dam disaster, in spite of many promises from government. Some JoJo tanks have been erected, but they are often empty, and those residents who have been without regular water for 7 years remain in that situation. Meanwhile, boreholes belonging to Bloem Water are derelict and unused. Municipal services to this community, as with most others across the Free State, have mostly collapsed. Let me mention some of the other examples. Senekal experiences days without water. Bethlehem regularly experiences water interruptions due to load shedding. Parys residents complain regularly about the lack of water and poor water quality. Parts of Mashaheng have no water and others only in the evenings. Marquardt was recently without water for weeks. Dealsville sometimes only has 2 hours of water and was without water for 2 months over the festive season. Hertzogville has experienced 9 days without water. Brandfort is heading for 2 weeks without water. De Wetstorp and Weppene were recently without water for weeks, and certain areas still experience water shedding. Paarmeng has never had water even though the infrastructure is in place. Ventersburg has been without water for 10 days, and Mama Abane for 4 weeks. Dagbreek small holdings at Henneman have been without water for a week. Riebeekstad is regularly without water for weeks. In Kwakwa, certain areas of Bluegum and Pereng rely on water tankers for months. Maokeng is regularly without water. Parts of Section A in Botshabelo have only had water for 2 hours at a time for years. These are only some of the examples in a few places whose fed-up residents and councillors have recently contacted me regarding issues relating to water. I can also list some examples of sewage that has invaded people's homes and communities, but the Premier must go home to Matrabeng, where you can smell ANC-run municipality before you get there, if he wants visible and nasal examples of this. While our residents are without their constitutional rights, such as water, there is no functional provincial disaster centre to deal with this. Honourable Kaloy elaborated in detail how the former MEC of Human Settlements failed our people regarding housing and local government. She mentioned the elephant in the room. Well, I think the elephant is sitting here on my right in the room that she mentioned. And thank you, Honourable Kaloy, for that in your absence. My colleague, Honourable Kleinman, spoke about the failures of the Premier's MEC for Kokta, which he deliberately did not talk about during SOPA. I can promise the Premier that when it comes to basic services to our people in the Free State, he can perhaps run, but he will never hide.
Speaker, honourable members referred to the Premier as an elephant. I'm not sure what is again disrespecting black people and refer to them as animals. How racist is that?
I think that's pushing it a bit.
Yes, Honourable Council, please withdraw that.
I didn't mention the Premier's name.
But you said he's sitting on your right.
There are a lot of people sitting on my right.
Then withdraw. There is no elephant sitting here. It's people. Honourable. Peter Way.
Speaker, I'll withdraw, but remember, Honourable Kaloy must also withdraw that.
No, the context is different from what Honourable Koloy was saying. Withdraw without conditions.
I withdraw, Honourable Speaker. The former Premier indicated in her SOPA that 50,000 job opportunities would be created by the expanded public works programme in this current financial year. The new Premier indicated that government exceeded this by 2,022 jobs. But the statistics of 50,082 that he gave us in his speech indicates that there were only 82 additional jobs created. A statistical error, I think, Honourable Meko. But I agree, and I never thought I would, with Honourable Lipoko, that EPWP jobs can only be a temporary relief. They can never be a replacement for real careers and job opportunities in the private sector. The former Premier indicated, among others, that the Steynsrus-Kroonstad Road would be completed in the 2022-23 financial year. After a number of contractors have been appointed, the road remains incomplete and some completed sections of the road are disintegrating. Yes. You're interrupting me, Honourable Speaker.
Is that a point of order, Honourable? Yes, what is your point of order? Switch off the mic, Honourable Anderson, please.
Honourable member is quoting me out of context. I spoke about jobs in government, not private sector. Correct my name, so it's deep forward.
What is your point of order? I can't get it.
Being quoted out of context, I did not say anything about EPWP in private. I spoke about the mission. So that member must withdraw that. If he wants to quote me, he must quote me properly.
Honourable members, when a member calls a point of order, it should be confined in a matter of parliamentary procedure or practice or unbecoming conduct. That is in terms of Rule 1172. Proceed, Honourable Johnson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, but I do want to apologise to Honourable Dipoko for mispronouncing his name. Honourable Speaker, there was no mention of the Steynsrus-Kroonstad Road by the Premier in this financial year. We suspect massive corruption here, as with other roads contracts in the province. 2 weeks ago, another person died in an accident on this road, and many others in the past few years as a result of bad roads conditions across the Free State. Our roads are literally death traps. People are joking about number playing, saying that GP stands for Groot Pothol. MP stands for a situation that affects our economy, our people's lives, and their livelihoods. Last year, the return of Makufe was mentioned in a triumphant fashion during the SOPA, only to be shrouded in irregularities perpetrated by a combination of private and public sector interests. The MEC responsible for this sits in the Premier's current cabinet and as does one named in the Public Protector report regarding allocations to the company Estina at the Vrede Dairy. Honourable Kabate said that the ANC is a caring organisation, but she is proof that it only cares for the few. Last year, we were told that the Breda School hostel at Fourierburg would have been completed last year. I did an oversight at the school recently, which is still far from completion. The Vogelfontein Primary School mentioned by the Premier must not just be reconstructed, but the irregular and fruitless 18.6 million rand spent on so-called alternative building methods before being abandoned by the previous contractor requires further investigation. I've also visited this collapsing, derelict and abandoned construction site, which is now a disgrace for that community. The former MEC for the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, who is the current Premier, announced the Unicore project in his budget speech in 2011 as, and I quote, a 35 million rand investment of a high-tech medical supplies manufacturing facility at Kroonstad. This establishment is set to provide 300 jobs once it is fully operational. This project is a pilot for other manufacturing enterprises to be set up in Parys and Sasolburg, which will ultimately form part of the Free State manufacturing triangle. I close quote. Former Premier Magashule later also announced this as one of his Operation Hlasela projects. This failed project cost the Free State Development Corporation 10 million rand and no jobs have been created. Since no such manufacturing facility was established and with the time that has lapsed, it is improbable that the FTC will recover the money that was spent there. This is another well-orchestrated ANC trick that makes taxpayers' money miraculously disappear. The Premier failed to mention this and other controversial projects that he was part of or aware of to the Zondo Commission. Yes, we also noted the appearance of the former MEC for the Steer and current Premier of the Free State at the State Capture Commission of the Inquiry, the so-called Zondo Commission, as a witness regarding dealings between the former Premier Ace Magashule and the Guptas. During his testimony, he admitted that as far back as 2011, he was offered a bribe in exchange for approving a multi-million rand Gupta-linked contract. Instead of exposing this and laying criminal charges at that time, which was his legal duty as MEC, he only mentioned this in the Commission of Inquiry in 2019. Why did he wait 8 years? Because only when his ally Cyril Ramaphosa of infamous Phala Phala fame took over as president did he actually grow a backbone. In his SOPA, the Premier promised to tackle corruption and deal with state capture. He indicated that the plan to implement the recommendations of the Zondo Commission has been developed and sent to the presidency. The Zondo Commission report was very clear that the ANC's policy of Clayder deployment is responsible for corruption and state capture. If the Premier is adamant about implementing the recommendations of the Commission, these should be included and the cadre deployment policy should be abandoned in the Free State and all positions should be appointed on merit. We know that factional-based cadre deployment is a key enabling factor for nepotism, corruption and state capture in the Free State. The Zondo Commission confirmed this. The nepotism, corruption and state capture, alongside the manifestation of ANC factional battles in the administrations of municipalities and the provincial government, are the main reasons for the instability in our administrations, the poor services to our communities, and the impoverishment of our people in the Free State. This is why 63% of our people in the province live in poverty, because corruption makes poor people poorer. And of course, Honorable Motsoeneng, the ANC did not invent corruption, but they have come very close to perfecting it in South Africa. Since cadre deployment causes corruption and nepotism, the Premier must show us that he is serious about this by informing the President that in the Free State, we will not employ this as an instrument that causes poverty and poor services in our province. But we know that he will not risk falling out of favor with his political puppet master, not even for the people who he pretends to serve. We know that billionaires like Herman Mashaba and Cyril Ramaphosa personally buy individuals to run their campaigns for them. But like all patronage, it comes with a price tag. Speaker, you cannot ask a cat not to catch a mouse because it is simply not in its nature. Similarly, you cannot expect the ANC to stop nepotism, corruption and state capture and start serving our people. This is similarly not in their nature. The Premier preached to us about leadership during his acceptance speech last week, indicating that we must be leaders and not think of the next election. Leaders offer solutions to people, and the only solution to poverty, poor services, and corruption in the Free State lies with the elections in 2024. That is what we will continue to tell the people of this province, because while we have a functioning democracy, our people do not have to suffer the indignities of self-serving governing party.
Your name, you must stop talking.
Premier, surely not just in the middle of a sentence. Just let me finish and then I will stop.
Honorable colleagues, just a point of order.
Is the member prepared to take a question?
Honorable Jambusin, I'm prepared to take a question.
I don't have time.
He's refusing. Proceed.
Speaker, I'm not refusing. I just said I don't have time. Perhaps next time I will. The people of the Free State must not believe the rhetoric of just because you have a new face, you have a new government with different policies and ideology. We have a new face in the position of Premier, whose 2.5 million rand SOPE exposed that it is his turn to eat and proves that the same self-serving party remains in power. There is no good or bad ANC, only one divided, factional and self-serving ANC in the Free State. Thank you.
Honorable MEC, thank you. Honorable MEC, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Oh. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, we must be quiet when there is a speaker on the podium.
The Premier, members of the Executive, members of Parliament, and the audience. Honorable Speaker, allow me on this occasion, when we are concluding the debates on the State of the Province address, to cite the lyrics of a beautiful song by Letta Mbulu. The name of the song is Unity. The song starts and concludes with beautiful voices of what sounds like playing children, and it goes like this. Mothers and fathers of South Africa, we are the voices of your children, young ones buried before reaching the age of 1. We are your children. We call upon you today on our knees. We implore you to please create for us a new day, a new beginning, a new South Africa. In your hands lies our future. In your hands lies our destiny. We are your children. We are your children. We are your children. And then the song goes into a chorus that makes a passionate plea to people of South Africa to work together every day. It further says unity is what we need to build a nation big and strong. The African National Congress has always been synonymous with unity. Since its formation more than 111 years ago, in a venue not far from where we are gathered here today. In fact, so close that we can literally walk there.
The lyrics cited above are daily cries of the people of South Africa and indeed people of the Free State. Instead of us tearing each other apart in this house and many others like in Parliament and in other provinces or legislatures, including municipal councils, whose inhabitants are supposed to be honorable members, it is not the right time that we take heed of this. It is now the right time that we take heed of these voices of our beautiful children in this song and many others, to be reminded that through the position of privilege we occupy, we are the parents, and the nation at large is reminding us that people, and especially our children, are crying and yearning for peace and progress. The nation is not interested in the ideological or ideologies and different colors of clothes we wear to identify ourselves from each other, but in the main on how we give effect to the commitments we made to them in 2019 through our manifestos. And this is also expressed clearly by Karl Marx when he says, "Believe that material circumstances and not ideas determine human thought and action. Ideas come from material conditions, from a cultural location, not the other way around," close quote. We have to learn to work with each other because our bosses, which are the electorate, in their wisdom, have constituted this house in the manner they did. We owe it to them to be civil to each other, still working very hard to live up to their mandate. Honorable Speaker, 3 days ago, the Premier, Honorable Dugwane, bravely stood before members of the legislature, the guests, and the people of the Free State to deliver his maiden State of the Province address as a newly elected Premier of our province. As a humble servant and foot soldier of the trusted mighty army, the African National Congress, he opened his address by firstly expressing his gratitude to all of you, and secondly, he heartily thanked his predecessor, Mosisi Ntombela, for having steered the ship since 2018. Let us state the obvious, which may not appear as such to many people, because there is a tendency across the board for people who are not in the ANC to psychoanalyze the movement. Both the opponents of the African National Congress go to extremes of looking at the internal democratic processes of the movement and want to turn them on their heads. They would argue, for instance, that there is an animosity between those who contested for position in leadership of the African National Congress conference, and therefore they would move to assume that on the basis of a perceived animosity, the ANC is so divided that when we had to elect the Premier in this house, after resignation of the former Premier, in the capacity and from this house, some not so honorable members would think that they could nominate others to their own to contest for the position of Premier, and that divided ANC would assist them to elect the Premier against the mandate of their own organization and the people. We are comforted by the fact that the DA
nominated Dr. Jane Wilson. Can you just strike a ruling on that, or why is Honorable James Dugwane not honorable?
Honorable MEC, did you say the honorable members are not so honorable?
Can, if I answer, my time will remain the same.
No, please respond.
I did not say, I said, and dishonorable behavior, not dishonorable person. I can reread it as long as you hold my time.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to depend on Hansard. I'm going to depend on Hansard, and I will do, because I need to see exactly what you said. Proceed.
We are comfort. There's no point of order on top of a point of order.
What is your point of order?
Refer to Hansard and you find that that is what the member said. Then I want you to rule on that. You then lie in this house to say it's not what he says. Will you have it?
Honorable, now you are teaching me how to preside. I said I'm going to consult Hansard and make a ruling. It's not the first time that happens in this house. Please proceed, Honorable MC.
We are comforted by the fact that the DA did not use any of its black members in the House to contest for the position of Premier, like they normally do elsewhere, only to let them be humiliated by defeat from the African National Congress. Because in the DA, as a black person, you are good enough to contest your brothers and sisters from other political parties, but not to lead the DA itself. Would also plead with those black people sitting on the benches of the DA to wake up and smell the coffee. The DA is not their home. They are only used by the DA to get black votes and thereafter dump them. What happened, if we may ask from the DA to mention, what happened to former black leaders of the DA, to mention but a few, Okai Jose Reman, Okai Themba Son, Okai Lindiwe Mazibuku.
Honorable Peter Wayne, in terms of the rules, you are not supposed to converse loudly, and you are disturbing the processes. I won't be able to hear what the MEC is saying. Please keep quiet. If you raise a point of order, you raise a point of order, I rule on that. But stop making noise in the House. Proceed, Honorable MEC. Honorable MEC Mahas. Proceed.
Okai Musimaima, Okai Pumzile Fandami, and even in this house, Okai Patricia Kopani. Now in the crossroads is impopulous. Honorable members of the oppositions are quick to shoot down and always say the program of action of government as outlined in the different state of the nation address, provinces and cities, where the ANC is a ruling party, will not see the light of day, simply because the issues we are raising are not raised by them. Where and when they get an opportunity or a chance to lead through, as they do, through the back door, they do worse. Now, Honorable Speaker and members, we must look at the premier state of the province address to appreciate the work that the African National Congress has done over a period as a leading party about the achievement of government under the ANC rule. In fact, he's quick to say that more could have been done besides the challenges confronting us. I know to those who follow us and listen when we talk in this house and elsewhere will say we sound like a broken record by repeating the same message always. But why do we do it? We want to say it so many times that even those who do not want to hear or fail to understand are in a position to hear what we are saying through hearing it over and over again. Our understanding of governments, not only in our country, but internationally, is that it has a role that it has a twofold. Firstly, to interact with the people through a democratic process, but secondly, to dispense and exercise service delivery to our people. If we emphasize the service delivery function over the democratic interface, we may create what is in what the Premier is saying. It would comprehend that government has indeed responded to the disaster of Jagersfontein and has now even pledged in the MTF period over 30 million rands. Over and above that, there's been restoration of infrastructure and the rehabilitation that is continuing. There's been construction of houses of people who have lost houses. There's been fencing and building of boreholes for farmers in the area. And there was also an interaction through the mine to put aside 50 million for people who have lost to can access it. This has been facilitated by government, which was a lot of work that was done. Of course, the Vrede Dam dairy has been handed to its owners. They are instant millionaires. You won't know this because there was no handover report. That's why you are backward. So they are instant millionaires and they are running their farm properly and profitably. Government is working closely with them. You have claimed that you are belonging to the left. I doubt you do because you walk right. You're like an amoeba shapeless insect, that you talk this language and then you work closely with the DA, but it's a debate for another day. I accept, Tani, you were not listening when the Premier was speaking on the State of the Province address. I understand your weaknesses. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tani. I apologize. You are honorable member. You were not listening.
Please take a seat.
Yes, Honourable Speaker, I rise on a point of order. When the Honourable Member just said, I will apologise, Tani won't fully accept that, then again referred to as Tani. So my problem is, firstly, is that parliamentary, and I request him to withdraw that also. And secondly, Speaker, is it parliamentary for the Honourable Member to stand there, and we can see he didn't write that speech. So it's difficult for us to understand if he struggles to read that.
No, the second one is not a point of order. You cannot dictate how a person writes their speech or what they're doing. But what I'm going to rule on is calling an honourable member done in the House. Honourable MEC, withdraw that unconditionally.
I apologize and withdraw, Speaker.
I withdraw, say I withdraw.
I withdraw.
Thank you.
Now, when the DA was congratulating the Premier, Honourable Janselson stands up here and says the Premier did not mention other racial groups. And he went on to mention them: black, white, Indian, and he says that is failure to encapsulate non-racialism. We are not interested in color blocking. We are interested in seeing people as people, and irrespective of the complexion of their skin. Yourselves.
Members on my left, you are making noise. When you are on the podium debating, nobody does what you are doing. And it's completely wrong. It cannot be correct. When you are on the podium debating, the House sits quietly and listens to you. Can you please do the same? Honourable Chief Whip, please proceed.
We are not interested in Section 39. We are not fascinated. We are fascinated by Section 154, in support and strengthen government. It's the last resort, Section 139. So your fascination is misplaced and does not belong here. Now, I want to respond to the cadre deployment. But first, let me make this quotation of what is a cadre. Cadres can be deployed in the field or employment in the office by the ruling party or into the state, or even in the secret police. They are often created to break apart existing class hierarchies among citizens and the state. Now, the strategic mission is to break apart this hierarchy called apartheid, and you will forever be worried. Remain worried, we're not going to review that. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, may I please revert back to the song by Letambuli, when he says, love your neighbor, love your children, love your country, love the nation. Teach your children self-reliance, they are the future. Speaker, can you protect me?
Honourable Peter Wayne, I'm going to... No, I heard you. I heard you. I'm looking at you. Stop behaving like that. You know, it cannot be correct that I'll have to keep saying, keep quiet in the House.
You are disturbing the member who is debating in the House. When nobody does that when you're doing that, when you are debating. Can you please refrain from doing that? Proceed, Honorable Members.
Honorable Speaker, let me at this stage, on behalf of the African National Congress, take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Premier, Siti Qiha, Nibane, Nochaholo, Ntswenzwe, sithandaza kuqamata nezinyanya ukuthi basigcinele wena. Sikokhele hlomluphuthu lidala. Mlantla Nyembezana Mahlendlovu, the African National Congress will forever work for our people. I thank you.
Honorable members, this brings us to the end of the business of the House today, and the House shall now adjourn until Tuesday, the 7th of March at 14:15 to allow for the Honorable Premier to reply to the debates. Honorable members, I also wish to make an announcement that the Honorable Chair of Committees, Honorable Khadele, has resigned as a member of Free State Legislature effective from the 1st of March 2023. I thank you. The House is adjourned.